The night hung heavy over the forgotten glass warehouse on the outskirts of Milan, cold steel and broken windows whispering secrets of a darker time. Dorian crouched behind a rusted crate near the back entrance, his eyes fixed on the blinking red dot on his phone screen. Vivi's phone. Still inside. He'd bought her a new one the other day, after the last had been soaked in toilet bowl. This time he'd quietly installed a tracker, just in case. Now it was the only thing keeping him sane. He tapped his screen, quickly sharing the location with Luke, June, and Clara. No time to explain. They would understand. They always did. His fingers trembled slightly as he slipped the phone back into his jacket. Then came the text from Clara. Police ETA, 3 minutes. 3 minutes. The longest 3 minutes of his life. From his hiding place, he could see 4 men stationed at the perimeter, Vescary's guards twitchy and wired. Inside, echoing off the glass and concrete, was the unmistakable voice of Leon Vescary. That twisted laugh. Sharp and hollow, like glass breaking in slow motion. Dorian crept forward, the grip on his gun tightening. He wouldn't wait. He couldn't wait. Not with Vivian there. Then, the first wail of police sirens pierced the night air, distant but approaching fast. The guards snapped into alertness, barking into radios, and chaos began to ripple. Dorian pressed forward into the building just as one of the men ran inside shouting, "Boss, we've got cops inbound." But Vescary didn't flinch. He stood in the center of the warehouse, surrounded by shattered glass and shadows, his eyes wild with delight. Margot was there. Vivi too, torn pale, trembling. Adrian stood in front of her like a wall. "I still want one of you to die," Vescary snarled, voice rising above the sirens. "So the rest of you can live with it. That's how suffering lasts longer." He raised the gun, aimed directly at Vivi. Time froze. Dorian exploded into the room, shouting, "No!" as he threw himself forward, grabbing Vescary's wrist just as the gun went off. Bang! The bullet flew, missed its intended target, but struck Adrian square in the chest. He staggered. Vivi screamed. His body crumpled in front of her, shielding her even in that final moment. His blood painted her hands as she caught him in her arms, his breath rattling, his eyes wide. "Adrian," she sobbed. "Adrian, stay with me. Please, please don't." He raised a trembling hand to brush her cheek. "Vivi," he whispered, barely audible. I loved you first." And then his eyes fluttered closed. The warehouse erupted as the police stormed in, shouts, commands, light slicing through the dark. June, Luke, and Clara burst through the side door seconds behind. "Adrian!" Vivi cried, her voice breaking, cradling him to her chest. "Please, no, no, Adrian, don't do this to me." Margot dropped to her knees beside them, wrapping her arms around her daughter as Vivi sobbed uncontrollably into her shoulder. Margot's eyes filled with tears, her voice barely holding steady. This wasn't the ending I imagined either, my love." Dorian stood above them, blood on his hands, rage in his bones. But Vescary was already backing away, laughing. The madman retreated through a hidden corridor, his footsteps vanishing behind the echo of spinning blades. Dorian lunged to follow, but it was too late. Vescary disappeared into the black belly of a waiting helicopter, rising like a vulture into the night. He was gone, but not forever. And this time he'd made it personal for everyone. The fluorescent lights inside the Milan police station buzzed faintly, too bright for the exhaustion everyone carried. The police station reeked of old paper, antiseptic, and something else, something bitter like despair. Vivian sat on the edge of a bench, her hands stained red where Adrian's blood had dried between her fingers. Her whole body was trembling, not from cold, but from shock, exhaustion, and grief she couldn't yet let herself feel. She kept glancing toward the door as if willing someone, anyone, to tell her Adrian was alive. Margot Cross sat beside her, back straight, chin high, but the way she clutched Vivi's hand said everything. Her voice was low, but it held steel when she whispered, "We'll go and see Adrian together, after this. You won't walk into that hospital alone." Vivi nodded, lips trembling. "I don't know if I can do this." "You can, because you're my daughter. And he's still fighting." Across the room, Dorian was finishing his statement with the Italian inspector. His shirt was torn at the shoulder, his knuckles bruised. He looked like a man who'd just failed a mission he had vowed never to lose. "He pointed the gun at her," he said. "He wanted to make her choose between her mother and Adrian. He was going to pull the trigger either way. I got there just as he fired. Adrian shielded her. Took the bullet to the ribs." "Was Vescari attempting to escape at that point?" the officer asked. Dorian's jaw tensed. "No. He was enjoying himself. Like it was a show. Like we were all part of some play only he had written." The inspector scribbled quietly. The officer nodded. "You all are cleared. Go." Vivi nodded wordlessly, her throat tight with fear and grief. And with that, Vivi, Margot, and Dorian rushed through the station doors and into the night.